You're listening to Last Word Radio, where you get the last word.
Welcome to the Fourth Line Podcast, part of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATV. My name is Nick. I'm here in replacement of Carl, who's balled up somewhere, still crying from the Avalanche game on Saturday. I'm joined by the always wonderful Joel. Hello, Joel.
How's it going?
I'm doing great. Carl, not so much.
It's a big day in the fourth line. Like, good and bad.
Good and bad. Good and bad. Big day, though. You're right. It is a big day.
So, So not only are you replacing Carl tonight, it's just Carl is done. We don't know where he is. Permanent replacement. Is that
permanent? That's what I've been told. Yeah.
That's what I've been told. The powers that be. Our intern told me. And so I think it was because of Elias Pettersson. Is that?
I think it was because of Elias Pettersson. Yeah. He had a big game Saturday night.
He has sworn off. Carl has sworn off hockey just forever. It's not. So I don't know what's happening. Maybe we'll find him.
You guys started the show without me.
Oh, hi, Carl.
What did I miss?
Nothing. We were talking about Peter Forsberg.
Love that guy.
You might not anymore.
I still do. What did Peter Forsberg do? Trust me, there is nothing that Peter Forsberg did that could be nearly as terrible as what my Avalanche did to me this week. What a tire fire. Worst playoff team that I have seen. They're in a playoff spot somehow right now. It is atrocious. I went to the game in Calgary, sitting there, and I'm like, man, they're up 4-1 right now. I'm feeling pretty good about this. They gave up 5 goals in the third period. So, pretty upsetting. Not a nice way to go. And then they went and they just continually let the Vancouver Elias Petterssons back into the game on Hockey Night in Canada. And I'm just about done. So, but glad that Nick's here.
Thank you.
Did you mention the fact that the big change?
Well, you're back, so I don't know if it's a thing anymore. like that, it lasted like 30 seconds.
Yeah, we said you weren't ever coming back.
Yeah, that's why I thought Nick was here. Oh. Because we all know that I do nothing. And so I just showed up. Nick was here, and I was like, I'll talk hockey with Nick. That's fine.
Well, yeah, so for those who have longtime listeners of the show, and even short time. Nick was on 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, 2 to 3 weeks ago.
And so for short and long time listeners, well acquainted with Nick, we are as well. And we are very excited that Nick is now he's part of the show. This is the first week where we've had the 3 of us. And the first week with 3 people on this show for a fourth line in decades.
Yeah, it's decades, yeah. So, it's a big day. I'm a little thrown off because I was all prepared to talk about how bad the Avalanche are, but now I'm a little worried.
We still can. We can still do that.
Well, you got a worse team in the Red Wings to talk about now.
How many games did the Red Wings win last week? I think more than both the Avs and the Leafs combined, so.
They won 3, so it was a big week for Detroit.
Yeah,
Toronto didn't play last week, so this doesn't really count.
Certain players on the team didn't play, that's for sure. But yeah, Nick, we're very excited to have you on the show, and I think it's going to be a lot of the same. We'll see how it changes as we go, what kind of new things Nick brings. We're expecting at least one new idea per month out of Nick, and so we'll see what kind of stuff he brings.
Pushing it a little bit there.
I was going to.
What kind of idea machine do you think I am?
I was going to say per week, and I was like, you know what? We'll start him off easy. We'll start him off a little slower and work his way up. But very excited. We are going to dive into the show, talk about some of what's happened this week. But before we do, just remind everyone about the fine folks at ATB. They are the official sponsor of the Alberta Podcast Network, as well as the official bank of the Fourth Line Podcast. If you head to atb.com/hockey, you can find out all the ways that they're involved in your community. If you head to atb.com, you can just find out all the ways that they are a great bank for you. So head on over there and find out everything that you can about ATB. Support them because they support people like us and hockey in your community. Big days of weeks of news. Words are hard. Nick should probably actually just fully replace me. That was not a sentence.
I think we should maybe just bear with me, Nick, on this. Like, I'm a little worried about Carl. Like, that was, he's having some hard time saying things. He almost,
so you're telling me that big days of weeks of news is not an appropriate sentence?
No, not at all.
Nick's leaving the show. He was like, yeah, I'll join the show. It's over. He's done.
Yeah, see you later.
But like, you almost, like, I thought we were about to enter the rant shack. Like, I thought, like, at the start, like, we were almost there.
Yeah. But
I do, like, I'm concerned for your well-being, your emotions, and really, we just care about you. Do you want to go? Do we need to go to the counseling couch? Do we need to talk through what happened to the Avalanche last week? Do we need to, so that you can get through it and you can, or do you just want to cheer for the Washington Capitals like you always do anyways? Like, is that?
No, we can talk about it for sure. What do you want to talk about? Help me dive into this. Help me unpack it.
I think the biggest question is really for Nick, not for you.
Okay. Hey, Carl, do you want to talk about this? Cool, because we're going to talk to Nick.
Just settle down. This isn't. I am the counselor here. This is not. You're not the professional. Just bear with me. We need to make it worse before we make it better. This is really what we're.
Oh,
just settle down.
This sounds fantastic.
Is Pettersson better than Forsberg? That's the question. Really, like, is that...
This may be going towards a rant shack. I'm looking at Carl's face right now. It's not looking good. Is he better than Peter Forsberg? I don't know. Probably not.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. That's good.
He's certainly off to a hot start this year. That's for sure.
Elias Pettersson is very good. And that's why I'm honest. I'm not mad at him honestly, because like, he's very good and he was just an unstoppable force. It's like, I would think that like teams when you face against the Avalanche and Nathan McKinnon goes off, you're like, yeah, that's what we expected. We expected him to be really good. I would have maybe liked it if like my team had shown up a little bit in that game. And like, to be it's an overtime game, so like they got a point out of it. I shouldn't be that sad, but I am, because it was on the Eagles.
Why?
It was. I think so there was the Elias Pettersson factor in that game, him going off, but it was mostly the Flames game. I don't know how you guys feel about going to see your teams play in opposing rinks. I know, Joel, you plan on doing that later this year. Nick, I don't know how often
I do it very often.
Right. Yeah. I assume, you head, where do you see them in Toronto, or do you like travel to Ottawa where there's
no,
cheap
me and my wife trying to get around to all the arenas in the league, and we try to go when either Toronto or Detroit's there. So I've seen them in a lot of opposing rinks.
Well, there you go. Do you like watching your team as like the away fan? Is that fun for you?
Yeah. I think so. I mean, I'm not obnoxious about it. Are you? I don't think a lot of people are.
No, I'm most certainly not. I'm honestly subdued. The guys next to me sitting down, they were Flames fans, obviously, as most of them were. They were giving me a hard time because I wasn't celebrating as much as the other Avalanche fans around me. I'd let out a woo or a fist pump when they scored, and then I just sit. I wouldn't even stand. I would just like throw my hands up, celebrate, and then go back to eat my ice cream or my hot dog.
Yeah.
Which was honestly the best part of that game, was the fact that I got snacks. Because my team was atrocious.
I don't know. I guess one of my other questions was like, are we okay? Like, Carl, because like, we may have been watching. Well, we weren't watching. Were we playing games? Is that how it was?
When
during the Vancouver game?
Yes, we were playing games.
Okay, so just for those who weren't there with us, which is nobody except Tiny was there, wasn't he?
Yeah, if Tiny listens, he'll be in on this.
So the Avalanche tie it. No, they go up. They went up. They go up late, and I believe
with a minute and a half left in the game, Nathan MacKinnon scores on the power play.
And they go up, and I believe the next words out of my mouth were, "Oh, don't worry, Elias Pettersson," and literally a minute later, he scores to tie it to go to overtime. So I was a little worried because I was kind of joking, but I was also when you pick the best player on the other team, you kind of expect them. So are we okay? Or
yeah, I don't think you willed that to happen.
I wish I did.
But certainly in that moment, I did blame you and had some choice words for you, I do believe. But no, it's just been a frustrating week. When your team gives up 13 goals in 2 games, while also scoring 11 goals in 2 games, I apparently ignore the fact that my team's offense was clicking with 11 goals and just look at the fact that both goalies gave up, Varley in Calgary and Grubauer in Vancouver. It was just a rough week. We'll recover. Our team is still, I don't know, maybe they won't recover. They looked terrible. Vancouver's doing well for themselves, but they're not a good team. Calgary played some terrible hockey, letting the Avalanche be up 4. It was a game that Calgary was better than a 4-1 score, and they showed it by scoring 5 unanswered. So
were they just bad third periods? Is that what happened? Were they fine for the first 2?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, that's
in Vancouver, they essentially went shot for shot the entire time. It was a bad third period, and honestly, I mentioned it to you guys because I think Nick, you asked Carl, what happened, and what happened was Ian Cole got kicked out of the game for charging a call that I believe was not. It was charging. Sure, give him a penalty for it. Not a game misconduct, and so that 5-minute penalty, and then him being gone for the game. The team just didn't recover after that, and so I'm not gonna solely blame the refs for it. You should be able to recover from that. They only scored once on that power play. They still had a 2-goal lead. They should have been able to pull it off and get their poop in a group, but they didn't.
Get their what?
Get their poop in a group?
Okay. Just wanted to make sure I heard that right.
And we all wanted him to say it twice. Anyways,
But but there's no question, looking at that Vancouver game, there's no question Elias Pettersson, Calder, can we just hand him the Calder right now?
Yeah, I don't even think it's going to be close come year end. But
it's who else is there even to consider at this point? That's close to him.
I don't even. I was trying to think of so we were talking about this Calder conversation, Pettersson, and I was just I don't even I couldn't even list another rookie right now. I don't think.
Yeah, so there's looking at them, apparently Linus Ullmark still counts as a rookie, but you've got the guy that a lot of people say is a second or third in that finalist is Yoka Haru in Chicago, defenseman, putting up some good points so far. But aside from that, even point production wise, Cholowski in Detroit is up there, and Nick's look on his face says that that's not a thing.
Well, I just pulled up this graph on Twitter from Micah Blake McCurdy. The points among rookies is just it's not even close. Pettersson is just way ahead of everyone. And what is this, points per 60 maybe? I don't know. The next guy on that list is Max Lajoie out of Ottawa, that defenseman. So I think that speaks volumes. I mean, Dennis Cholowski's having a great season in Detroit, but he's also on Detroit where the defense is awful. All 6 of them are terrible. So yeah, he looks good, but it's nothing compared to Elias Pettersson.
But here's the thing that people can start to relax. Elias Pettersson currently shooting 39%. So sure, he has 9 goals on 23 shots. If you even if he shoots at a William Karlsson-esque percentage the rest of the season, that would be 6 goals, which is still impressive. That would still have him as the rookie of the year for sure. But but that's going to come down. He's not going to be getting more shots. 23 shots through 9 games is what, like three a game? That's a solid amount. And, that's kind of what you should expect. So that's going to come down. He will cool off in due time, but for now, enjoy the ride, Vancouver. You're in a playoff spot. It's almost a quarter of the way, and you're in a playoff spot. Who would have thought?
It's exciting for the Canucks.
Yeah. Let's stay in the Pacific. The Los Angeles Kings, not currently sitting in a playoff spot, fired Coach John Stevens this week after a win, which is an always fitting thing. They said, hey, why don't you go beat Columbus and then we'll fire you, which doesn't speak too kindly for the prospects of Randy Carlyle after beating Columbus last night. So
I think that decision was made up before that Columbus game was ever played.
Right. So good move for LA. Man move, like irrelevant. What do you think?
Who really cares? I don't know. Like, whatever. It's like, yeah, hi. Like, we're gonna fire you, and we're gonna hire a very uninspiring interim guy that nobody really wants. And our team's still super old and broken. Awesome.
Yeah. It's too bad that teams can't fire players, because I don't know if this coach should be the scapegoat. LA's not as bad as they're playing, I don't think. I think this is purely a move to shake up the locker room a bit and try and get them going.
Yes. Sitting with 9 points is certainly not where you want to be. But like you said, that was kind of my reaction. I was like, yeah, you can't fire this entirely giant overpaid roster that you have. Something has to change. And quite honestly, the window for this team, if you even can look at this current squad and say that they have a window, it's the smallest window ever. It's a window for a mouse. It's a window for ants. And they need to do whatever they can to try to get in. It's a window to get into the playoffs. And that's it.
Can you please give us more analogies of what size window? This is a new game. Every team that we talk about, how big is the window, and what animal does Carl choose? I'm excited.
What size animal can get through this window? It's the new Andrew Raycroft or Patrick Waugh.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Mouse window to elephant window.
Yeah, but I get that. It's sure, fine, get rid of them. But I said, Willie Desjardins, come on, you really that's the shakeup to go. I was in BC during the Desjardins era. It was a very uninspiring era. So I don't know. So if you're gonna shake them up, at least do something better than that. That's the thing. It was just hey, we're gonna get rid of Steve. Oh, and then we're gonna get this guy, and that's cool. It's it doesn't. I don't know. I don't get to me. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, Desjardins is one of those guys who has a really good resume. I think in the AHL and junior, but then when he started coaching in the NHL, it was just bad. And I don't think those Vancouver teams were much to work with either. But he did not do anything inspiring there.
Yeah, and I don't they even said that he's not the long-term solution here. They're giving him through this season. So even his own bosses are yeah, Willie, we don't know. We'll give you through the rest of the season. So it'll be interesting to see how much they think in LA that they can do this, because from what I understand, I was trying to find the hiring dates. Rob Blake did not hire John Stevens, so he came in. So it'll be interesting to see who Rob Blake, as the general manager, puts in place there as he tries to revamp this team. But his big moves in the summer are not inspiring, right? Bringing in Ilya Kovalchuk to an already aged team is not what I think. Oh yeah, this guy knows what he's doing to build a quality roster. This is the guy trying to get the most out of the aforementioned small window.
You're talking about the LA Kings leading goal scorer right now, Ilya Kovalchuk.
That's not something to brag about.
Completely agree.
So we'll see. But what about there's a lot of teams struggling right now, and last year no coaches got fired during the season. So we've already got one so far. And, I mentioned in Anaheim the potential for a coaching change there. I think we talked the last time you were on, Nick, about the potential for Jeff Blashill's longevity in Detroit. Do you think that there's another, and Mike Yeo in St. Louis, another one that people are saying needs to go? Do you think anyone else is kind of coming down the pipe here?
I don't know. It's so hard to predict. Sometimes teams fire their coaches and you're like, really? That team? Like, wasn't it Philadelphia a few years ago who fired their coach? They were just outside the playoffs. Like, sometimes the teams doing the worst do it. Sometimes middle of the pack guys do it. It's hard to say. I know Detroit won't. I don't know about St. Louis. I doubt it. Mike Yo's only been there for a couple years. But it's also like, who's on the market? Who are you going to get to replace them? Alain Vigneault?
Well, that's who that would be my thought, right? And a lot of people kind of expected, they said, like, the wrong former Vancouver Canuck coach showed up there. And that's who I would look for, especially if you're a team in contention, right? You sign him for 1 year, bring him in as an interim coach, see what happens. Because worst case scenario, like if you're the St. Louis Blues, worst case scenario is you just keep doing what you're doing after such strong offseason moves and end up exactly where you are. Same Anaheim Ducks. Anaheim Ducks are another team in the same vein as, not as rough of a shape roster-wise as the Kings, but they're in the same sort of trajectory, right? They're the Kings 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, obviously, fans are, we're much more quick to pull the trigger on firing coaches than, teams are, but I don't know. I think, I think I would say, it's Mike Yeo. That would be the one that I would be like, you gotta go. But he's not, like you said, he's not going anywhere. No. So, I mean, if I was Anaheim, I wouldn't have Randy Carlyle around anymore. This is I love this conversation. This is the conversation of coaches that just do not I do not want any part of this these coaches. None of these guys that we're talking about. So.
And I think part of the other problem too is that a lot of these coaches want tenure, they want long-term contracts for stability in their lives. And I don't think teams want to give them anything longer than 2-3 years because of the life cycle of the teams. Then you're firing a coach and you're paying off the rest of his contract.
Yeah, that doesn't seem smart. But we look in even with teams that are doing well, right? You mentioned the Flyers before. Joel, what is it with the souring on Mike Babcock? People are all over the business.
I think it's just it's been like this for the last couple of years. I just don't think it's been as noticeable because it's the same. It's the thing is Ron Hainsey should not be playing on our top pairing. It is very clear that is the thing that shouldn't be happening, but yet he is. And so you're just it's just confusing. That's the kind of thing that, and it's the reason why Roman Polak lasted as long as he did in Toronto. You're just why is this a thing that's happening? And so that's it's those small things, and yet nobody knows the value that Babcock brings from behind the scenes. And so, but it's those things. It's those things that look obvious to everyone else, and you're just why is this happening? I don't know.
But in due time last year, Roman Polak did he not find a more appropriate setting as the season went on?
I think and it was Matt Martin. That was the big one. Eventually, I think it was in January when Matt Martin never touched the ice again. And I think it got to that point where Babcock just literally couldn't do anything but sit him. And Leo Komarov, that guy played way too many minutes.
Are you just going to keep listing the New York Islanders roster?
Hey, man, they're good. That's a good hockey team. I've read so many articles about how they're just so amazing and that they're going to do amazing long term. Keep that hope alive, Islanders.
First in the Metro.
I know, though. That'll be sustainable. I don't even know who their goalie is.
I don't know either, actually.
Robin Lehner.
No, there you go.
Yeah.
That'll last.
I think the thing about Babcock, like, this is nothing new for him. We had the same thing in Detroit. His roster composition and deployment made, like, no sense. But he values so many of the intangibles and the hard-working players who grind it out against the boards. And he values teamwork and small egos, and like he would actually sit out a better player if that guy started to get a bigger ego than someone else, just to prove a point. It's always been a criticism of his.
Poor Josh Levo and his huge ego.
Does that mean that, like, William Nylander finally signs and Babcock benches him his first game? He's like, hey, if you wanted to be on this team, you should have been here.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if that happened.
Like, shoves him on the fourth line. Well, we've seen Nylander up and down that lineup, so that wouldn't be surprising either. But
well, all those other guys, they've been out there playing, and Willie, you got to get your conditioning done. So
yeah, got to earn your spot.
Got to earn your spot.
We don't just hand it out.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. So we'll see. I think Mike Yeo is the one that I would look at. It wouldn't entirely surprise me if they kept him, just because they had, like, this very strong succession plan from Ken Hitchcock to Mike Yeo in the final days of Hitchcock's time. And while Joel said, like, as fans, we have a very itchy trigger finger, but as general managers, these are guys who also have bosses, and general managers get fired less quickly, but, their leashes aren't exactly that big either. And you look, and all of a sudden you say to the president of the team, yeah, I messed up this signing. Like, the coach that I hired to coach this team, not that good. So the ego of those guys to kind of swallow their pride and say, hey, I messed up. This guy I hired 2 years ago, not the guy. I think that's a big part of why you see some guys have that leash. Whereas, Rob Blake can come in and be like, yeah, I don't want John Stevens. I'm new in town. He's gone. So, that's kind of my thought. I would not be surprised to see Mike Yeo be replaced, and Alain Vigneault, obviously a very qualified replacement there. Goalie signed this week. 35-year-old Pekka Rinne got a 2-year contract to stay in Nashville for $5 million per season. This is a good little deal for aging Pekka Rinne. He gets a pay cut, 2 years. Obviously, I've been a big fan of Juuse Saros, unashamedly, and it looks like that's being pushed back a little bit for him.
Yeah, I actually wanted to hear your thoughts on this one, Carl, because last time I was on the show, you asked me if Pekka Rinne's days as a starting goaltender were over with his injury, because Juuse Saros was going to come in and outplay him, play him out of the net. So I thought about you when the signing was announced. I wonder what Carl thinks about Pekka Rinne being the starting goalie still.
The way I found out about this signing is Joel messaged me and he said, sorry about Saros. And I was like, what, is he hurt? Like, I know that Rene's like coming back and like, sure, he lost the starting job to him, but like, is he hurt? Like, what's happened? No, just not getting the net back. But he did, like, not as well as Rene has this year, but in 7 games he had a, .917 save percentage. I was quite impressed with what he was able to do in his time in net. And I think if you give him that time, he'll still be good. The great news for Nashville is when Rene's contract is done, I was wrong. He turned 36. He turned 36 the day he signed this deal, actually. That was on his birthday. So for me, I look at that and I'm like, 38-year-old Pekka Rinne. I think in 2 years, I'll beat the drum of Pekka Rinne not being a starting goalie for the next 2 years. And by the time this deal is done, he won't be a starting goaltender. I do believe Saros still is qualified to take that net for him. Only going to be 25 when that happens. Still a restricted free agent. So the Preds will be able to sign him with that intention of giving him the net. And we saw, how he's done. So there'll be a larger body of work there. We'll be able to see it. And I fully expect that Juuse Saros will be the starting goalie of the Predators before too long. I know I've said it for 2 or 3 years, but I still firmly believe it.
I could get a .917 save percentage on the Predators. Your goalies, it doesn't matter.
Prove it. I want you to suit up. Emergency goalie, Joel Snow.
Sure, if you can make it happen, I will play goal for the Nashville Predators. Just name the day. Set it up. Who cares who the goalie is on this team? Just put someone there. Just put the shooter back there. They'll be fine. They have a good enough defense. It doesn't matter. And I didn't. Saros. Who cares?
I care, Joel. And
why? I don't even understand where this is coming from. I've liked watching him play. I think he's good. Like I don't have it's not like I put money on it. It's not like I bet every offseason like Juuse Saros going to get 40 starts this year. I was going to be like, that would be the weirdest bet ever.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain they don't offer that. Like I'm fairly certain they would only lose money on that bet. But it would be me and Mrs. Saros who would be putting a lot of money down on that. So, yeah, I don't know. So, but the Rinne side, this is a Nashville team that has been very good at keeping people signed to reasonable contracts. Obviously, they have the giant PK Subban deal at $9 million, but everyone else, right? Like we talked, Ryan Ellis coming in cheap, Roman Josi, he's only making $4 million. And so handing out this deal next year, they have $10 million left in cap space. Are you okay with the deal from Nashville side for Rinne?
It's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever.
They've got, 6.5 locked up in goalies? I think that's great, actually, compared to what the rest of the league has.
Yeah, it's just whatever. Like, I think they could have, if they didn't get a reasonable price on Rinne, they would have been able to find a similar type goalie at the same price in free agency.
Well, they could have gotten one for $3.5 million less in Juuse Saros. So there's that.
My goodness, can we move?
I think there's a bit of a loyalty factor there to Rinne too. He's been a lifelong Pred. He probably means a lot to them in the locker room, and they're just doing good by him. But when I first saw this, my initial thought was transition contract. Like 2 years, less money. These 2 years are going to be transitioning to Saros.
Yeah, for sure. That only makes sense. There was another contract handed out, which was much less good than $5 million per year. Yannie Gourde, 6 years, $31 million in Tampa. Steve Yzerman and the magic that is his contract handing out abilities is clearly gone from Tampa. This is not good.
No, they got to be happy in Tampa that Stevie got the Kucherov thing done before he left.
Yeah.
This would have been bad.
We're looking at Yannie Gourde. This was his, a late rookie, a late bloomer, 26 years of age, but quality production, right? He put up 64 points last year. The year before that, only played 20 games. Year before that, only 2. So he's had a lengthy route to the NHL, but now that he's here, putting up numbers. But what I compare it, Joel, and this is something that'll hit near and dear to your heart, I compare this deal to the Zaitsev contract, where you hand out a long-term big money deal for a very small window of work at the NHL level. And you've seen good production from him. And if it ends up being like the Zaitsev deal, regrettable. But
how small is the window though, Carl?
Tampa's window is pretty big. I would say it is about, rhinoceros size.
Okay.
On the scale of ant to elephant. Giraffe? What's the big T-Rex?
A giraffe's small because it's is lanky, so it can just fold its neck and all that through a window. Okay,
so that'll be a metaphor that will be taken out later in a further episode. Can we go T-Rex? Can we go prehistoric animals?
Sure. So ant to T-Rex, you're going rhinoceros.
Yeah.
It's not as big a window as I was expecting, but that's fine.
Well, now that I said that thinking elephant, I might have to change it. I'll maybe go elephant. On a scale of ant to T-Rex, I'm going elephant.
Fair.
That's a pretty big window. This team is good. They have their stars are locked up. They still have to obviously sign Andrei Vasilevsky to some sort of long-term deal, but he's restricted. He's controllable. The pieces of this team are here, right? Braden Point is the next piece that needs to sign. Sergachev needs to sign. 2 years out, Point after this year. Like, the core of this team is here, and they're good.
So, like, when those three guys have to sign, that's going to be...
Right, but you won't have Dan Girardi, Braden Coburn. Like, those are deals coming off the books this year. You can find other replacement pieces. When you have the team around them that you have, that's fine, right? You have Victor Hedman, you have Ryan McDonough, you have Sergachev. Like, that's a very solid starting core. You can continue to find the equivalent of future Dan Girardi.
So without those three, though, so, like, not including those three, they have, like, let's say, the cap goes up to 90 million-ish for 2020. That's probably even on the high side.
I would say, I'd say, 85?
So 85. So that leaves them with 25 million to play with, and they've only got 8 guys signed. Like, that's how they have 57 million in cap space already locked up without those three that you just talked about. And if this is the deal that Gourde signed, I guarantee you Vasilevsky is going to be like, "Where's mine?" Because
for sure.
So, like,
do you think they have it in them to take a run at Karlsson?
I don't see how you can find a way to fit him. Like Joel said, you want to take that 57 million and make it 68 million for 9 guys. Can you fill the other 14 spots on a roster with less than like 22 million? You're looking at less than 2 million average per person.
You're not signing Vasilevsky at that point. Like, they can't do it with the team that they have. They'd have to get rid of money somewhere.
Yeah, and sure, like, people are coming off, but even you look at next year, as it stands right now, if the cap goes up $5 million, that's sitting at $12 million in cap space, and they have 3 defensemen under contract for next year: Sergachev, McDonough, and Hedman. That's it. That's not good. That's a tough situation to be in. So you have to find a way to make that work. Outside of, the forward core, that's fine. They'll sign Braden Point and they'll fill the gaps with the rest of, like, the next Anthony Cirelli will slot in somewhere. But the rest of this team, I don't know how they're going to make it work. Something has to give. They can't just, they just showed that they can't keep signing magical contracts.
It's just weird. Like, I'm surprised they chose, because, like, if this is what Gourde got, what does Braden Point get?
I like that you keep calling him Gourde.
Whatever.
Yeah, but yeah, Braden Point, I would give more, like, if you were to tell me who gets more money, Gourde or Point, I'd be giving more money to Braden Point. But now that I look at that, like, does Braden Point deserve $6 million? Probably not. But based on this, that's the money that he would be getting.
Oh, he's not getting less.
No, the only, like, Braden Point would be getting less UFA years, right? Just because of Gourde's age. But still, he's going to be getting paid, and I just can't see how Tampa can fit it in.
He had 32 goals last year.
You got to find the only way you can do that is if you start moving pieces over, right? If you're like, well, let's find someone to take Kaloran, let's find someone to take Tyler Johnson. These are the pieces that someone's got to go, and I don't see it. It's not an easy solution. There was a suspension handed out. Brandon Lemieux, 2 games for his hit in Finland. Joel, you had a fitting question about this suspension.
Oh, I was just wondering, like, I was surprised he got suspended. I figured whatever happens in Finland just doesn't matter here in North America. But
different rules.
It's like bigger ice, all sorts of stuff, right?
Smaller crowds.
Yes.
Or bigger crowds.
Bigger crowds.
Less seats, bigger crowds.
Yeah. Especially when you've got a Panthers game happening there.
Yeah.
But he got 2 games for his hit, which he got kicked out of that game, and so that's something that's to be considered. But certainly something that I think the NHL, 2 games again. I'm at the point that 2 games is irrelevant. Like, that's just like a slap on the wrist. You miss 2 games, especially if you're like borderline in and out of the lineup, right? Brand Lemieux's not exactly burning it down in Winnipeg. Go sit for a couple games.
Is that what Duncan Keith's going to get them?
I mean, what's Duncan Keith going to do? I think all he's going to do is try his best on a terrible Chicago Blackhawks roster.
I don't know.
I have nothing to say to that.
I think you bring up a good point, though, Joel, in that like the standards are different for different players, right?
Oh, for sure. I was just trying to see if I could get Carl to actually defend what Duncan Keith did, which somehow I think he did. I don't know. I'm not really sure what he did.
I mean, did Duncan Keith do something new terrible?
Yeah, he drove. What's that? Is it Dubé, the Calgary Flames rookie guy? He drove his head into the boards and got a game misconduct.
Well, that sounds bad. I was too busy during Duncan Keith time. I was too busy being sad about the Avalanche still. So,
okay.
I'll take a look at what old Duncan Keith did.
He pretended to be upset that it happened. I didn't believe him though.
That doesn't seem likely.
I know.
All right, here we go. This is thrilling. Okay.
This is great. This is great listening right now.
Yeah, Duncan Keith probably shouldn't have done that. And by probably, I mean like he shouldn't have. But like if I look, no, I'm not going to try to defend it because that's what Joel wants. Joel wants me to defend this Duncan Keith hit. I'm not gonna give him the benefit of the doubt on this one.
You almost got him there.
I told you what I wanted, and I still almost got it.
You still almost got it. Here's what I will say. This is a difficult. No, dang it, Joel. Why did you say that? I agree that Duncan Keith should have been kicked out of the game, but when I watch something like that, and you see a guy turn at the very last second, you know, the listeners know how much of a supporter of player safety I am. But at the same time, when Duncan Keith was lining him up, he was lining him up to take like a cleaner hit, and then Dubé turned. So that's not an excuse; it's just a fact. And so Duncan Keith should have been punished because he is responsible for his own actions. I do find it a little bit. If I was Duncan Keith, I'd be a little frustrated, understandably so. Did they say no suspension on that one?
I don't know. I didn't see it. It's not a pretty hit though. Like.
No, and the optics of it are worse. Certainly, he crunched his head into the boards, which is a no-no. That's not something you should do.
He literally waited for the guy's head to be in a vulnerable position and then drove him into the board.
That seems bad.
So, like, I don't know. I assume he gets nothing. That's my guess.
When did this happen?
I don't have an idea.
That was Saturday.
It was Saturday? Oh, yeah. Then definitely nothing's happened because if we haven't heard about it. So
it looked pretty bad though.
Yeah, I just heard about it this morning on the way to work because I was listening to Flames talk. It's not.
I'm very sorry about that.
Yeah, it's not good stuff.
No. That was the news of the week from the NHL. There was a lot happening, but let's turn to some of the lesser news. And I'm curious to see when do you think that it becomes an issue for fans, right? We obviously try to come at everything with a fan perspective, which is why we officially are anti-Gary Bettman here on the Fourth Line podcast, because Gary Bettman is anti-fans. And we've seen in Ottawa the struggles of the team, the struggles of the franchise, and people calling for Eugene Melnyk to be removed as the owner there. And it's gotten so bad that the Transit Society organization, Public Transit in Ottawa,
there you go,
has decided that people don't care about the center so much that they are canceling bus routes designed to get people to the games because, and Nick, you would know this better than us because you are closer. It's in the middle of nowhere. That stadium in Ottawa
it's out there.
You need a bus to get there, right? If you're going to have a couple of beverages at the game and get home safely, you need that bus. Not happening anymore. They have canceled 3 routes and they posted the signs that effective for tomorrow's game against the Devils, that would be the case. So
hold on, Carl. Sorry, I just want to correct you because I'm looking at the sign right now. Its frequencies on the 3 routes have been adjusted. So they haven't canceled the routes. They've just reduce the amount of buses that are running on them.
Okay, so if you and I guess that changes things then.
Well, it still means that there's not that enough people there to run all these buses.
For sure. Which, like, when I first heard that these, I guess, amount of buses are being canceled, to more accurately represent it, I just started thinking, at what point, and I don't want to talk just to Eugene Melnyk, but that's a great example. At what point does it take the NHL, the Board of Governors, to try to have a say, right? We've seen the example of it in the NBA for much different reasons, not general incompetence, but inappropriate behavior. Is there any way that you think that the NHL Board of Governors should step in and say, you are running a part of our business that we are invested in together terribly. You're devaluing the product. Is that something that the NHL as a whole should step in and try to intervene?
No. I don't think, how can you? Apart from, there's certain things that we saw, I don't believe we've seen this in the NHL, but we saw it in the NBA with that really old guy for the Clippers. I don't remember his name, but Silver kicked him out of the league essentially, forced him to sell, and so I see that. Yeah, you can because that is something that affects the league as a whole. I don't know if you can you can't be wow, you're your team is awful, you get no fans because they're not kicking Arizona out. They're not they haven't gotten rid of Florida, all these teams that aren't bringing in fans. I think it's too difficult to just kick someone out for running it poorly. You have to actually do something bad to get kicked out as an owner. Because
yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's still Eugene Melnyk's team, right?
Yeah, and he's it's not it's different than, it's not a job. He owns it. Yeah. It's not, they can't just be they'd have to have a really good reason. Because and these are all guys who have tons and tons of money. So Melnyk would fight it if they were just we want you gone for no real reason other than we think you're doing a bad job. That's not going to go over well when it go through a legal battle. I can't imagine.
And that's what I kind of wonder is, and that's not what you actually alluded to, but it led to me thinking, does Eugene Melnyk or any other owner doing a terrible job make the other teams more, right? Their teams are going to be better. They get to play against the Ottawa Senators, the Arizona Coyotes, these perennially bad teams repeatedly and benefit from it. Do you think that they would rather then have these bad owners in because, hey, we get to, it's points night.
We get to get Erik Karlsson for basically nothing from a guy that can't sign him.
Yeah, I don't think the Sharks are going to be lobbying to get him out. They got they got Mike Hoffman. They got Erik Karlsson. They most certainly want Eugene Melnyk to stay in this league.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think. I don't know. The other thing is, you said this. I was like, Bettman works for the owners. He's not doing anything to try and get rid of owners.
He on behalf of the owners, right? So if he's working on behalf of them, if the bulk of the owners, for whatever reason, were to say, right? Same with Adam Silver in the NBA when he kicked the Clippers guy out. This is something that if there was ever a reason, then he would step up and make that happen. But you don't think that just generally being bad at your job is a good enough reason to get someone out?
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I think it's sports. There's good teams and there's bad teams, and Ottawa ultimately isn't a strong hockey market. So I don't think they'll ever be doing poorly enough financially.
I guess in due time, all Bettman would do is try to convince him to move his team to the southern states. Would probably be his only strategy.
Yeah, so maybe that's the thing. The owners are just as much of the problem because they're allowing this to happen. I think Seattle will be a decent spot for a hockey team because you have Canada close enough that if you can build a fan base in Seattle, then you have an extra fan base to support that. So I think Seattle's probably a big enough market and likes hockey enough. Like we went to, I don't know, just like a random WHL game and the place was almost full. And so like, I think it's a big enough market that they'll have enough to do there. But they're like a lot of these markets that they're going into they just don't make any sense. Like they continually to try and justify that Phoenix is a viable option. It's not and they would much rather expansion over relocation. And so they do it to themselves. It's not just owners trying to get Ottawa's the last place that they need to try and get rid of.
Well, and that was one, just one example. I just wanted to touch on it as a general thing, because if the business of a team is struggling and they're devaluing it, that was kind of my only thought, right? As if you're devaluing one franchise, does that mean that the rest will be? And you'll look at that. But according to you guys, no, I'm a little bit. I get the fact that you have the right as the owner to be as terrible with that as humanly possible, but at the same time, if you run a franchise literally into the ground, I don't think that does the NHL any favors either.
It doesn't. I just don't think they have no ability to do anything. They at least have an owner. That's the bigger thing. I just don't think there's anything they can or would want to do about it.
Yeah.
Well, let's find out. We chatted about this a little bit beforehand. It is time for our Pavel Bure must-watch games of the week to be selected, and this is what we do to play high sticking with over on the Twitter at Fourth Line Podcast. Nick had an issue with, I posted it. Nick, now that you're on the show, how are we going to do this? Are we going to divide them up evenly? You said that you wanted us to still just pick them ourselves.
Yeah, because then I can play.
Which, I've never gotten to play. Maybe Joel and Nick should pick them, and I'll play high sticking. I'd love to win a mini stick or a puck or any of these products fantastic things we have.
I think that makes sense considering how we've now switched positions on this show since I got to do the intro. You sit out this round of high sticking.
Okay.
You play and turn over the keys of the Twitter account to Joel.
Yeah. We'll have 3 tweets this week.
Okay. I can get behind this.
Yeah.
So
Joel and I will pick, and you play.
All right. I'm ready.
Okay.
And now you'll see how hard it is.
Yeah. I'm just wait to see how many points I'm going to get. It's going to be literally ones of points all week.
I believe so. The week Nick that you were on, I played, and I think I got 3 or 4 points.
I can, you got more than that.
Did I?
Let's see. Where's Joel sitting at? Joel, 6 points.
I got 6 points. That's pretty
points.
Good.
The leader right now has 12, so that's about as you're halfway there.
It's almost as many points as the Los Angeles Kings have.
So, all right. Okay, Nick, I got a few games that you get to choose from on Tuesday. Okay. So you can go late, San Jose, Minnesota. Obviously, I'm going to be watching Toronto, Vegas. Let's just throw that in the hopper just in case you want to choose Toronto. Okay. And you want to do McDavid, Stamkos. That's another option.
That's the one I was looking at. Edmonton, Tampa.
Wow, Edmonton. Hey, all right, there it is.
So it happens when someone different picks the games. We get, who knows? Detroit might make a magical reappearance in here. We don't know.
I will put up a huge fight about that. Does Nick knows about our no Boston rule though, right?
Yes, I do.
Do you hate Boston as much as us? We didn't ask this question. Oh my goodness.
I hate Boston.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah.
We almost made a terrible mistake.
We almost had to find a new third host.
Forgot to ask that question in the interview, eh?
Yeah, we just can't do it. What do you got? What are you thinking Wednesday?
Well, I mean, Wednesday, kind of the marquee game, Crosby versus Ovechkin, or Nashville, Colorado.
Should we
McKinnon versus Saros?
should we make Carl watch that game if he's going to play and make him see him hesitate between whether he chooses Colorado or Nashville?
Absolutely.
Done.
I hate you guys.
There you go.
You pick with your head or you pick with your heart?
Love it.
All right. Well, that brings us to Thursday. Big old slate of games. 10 games on Thursday?
Yeah, lots of them.
No real great. San Jose, Dallas is. I don't know. I don't want to go Tampa Islanders.
First in the East or first in the Atlantic versus first in the Metro?
No.
So refuses to accept that.
No, we're not going to do that.
San Jose, Dallas might be good.
That's the game I want to go with.
All right, let's do it.
Oh.
Brings us to Friday. You got a smattering of games on Friday.
I don't know. I don't know what game I'm watching.
Colorado, Winnipeg.
No,
obviously.
I'm assuming pretty much everybody knows this at this point. But if there's a Leafs game on, that's my Pavel Bure of the week.
And we automatically can't pick Toronto for Saturday.
They play Boston?
Yeah.
Tough. I'm going to be watching that, but...
So let's go New Jersey, Toronto on Friday.
That'll be a good game.
Yeah, it'll be a good game.
New Jersey's a spunky little team.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're last in the division somehow.
Yeah,
That's a crazy good division. Them in the Central, although the Blues are terrible, but still.
And then you want to go... Saturday, I don't know. There's a bunch of weird matchups this week.
Yeah.
Calgary. You want to see Willie Desjardins late night?
Yes.
Late night hockey. Chicago, Philly. I don't know.
Nick seemed very into Calgary, LA.
Let's do it then. There's I can't see a better matchup.
We need to see what Willie Desjardins brings to this bench.
Yeah. The best game of the week.
He's going to be on After Hours on Hockey Night in Canada, so that's going to be good.
The best game of Saturday night is Toronto-Boston.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's not even close.
So, and then Sunday, I don't know. You could go Minnesota, St. Louis, two teams that everyone thought were going to be good. I don't even know what St. Louis or Minnesota is doing. Are they good team?
They're doing well. They turned it around. Yeah.
But St. Louis is awful. I don't know. You choose, Nick. You got...
let's go Minnesota, St. Louis.
The early
Central
game,
Division. Yeah.
Get your picks in. Nick, do you want to pick a Monday game? I know last time we picked a Monday game, you seemed into it. There's 4 games on Monday.
There's 2 options on Monday for Nashville, Anaheim, or Columbus, Dallas. So if you're going to go Monday, it's one of those 2.
It's not former Blackhawk versus former Hurricane?
No.
No. That took me a minute to think about what you're referring to. And then
it was the matchup everyone's been waiting for: Scott Darling versus Cam Ward.
The matchup Carl's been waiting for.
Nobody's been waiting for that.
Monday, I would go Columbus, Dallas.
All right, let's do it. We play a little.
Have to stay awake till 1:00 in the morning.
I guess are we now? If we do that game, that means we got 2
Dallas.
Or we have 2 more weeks of this round of high sticking. Do we want to?
Yeah, so we'll.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's fine, and then we'll do. So that would have us wrap up on the 19th. Then we'll wrap up on the. We'll do a. Maybe we don't do it. Maybe let's crown a winner next week.
So then don't do Monday game because that's.
And then we'll do one more, and then we'll crown one right at Christmas. We'll end that round there, and then pick it back up, crown a new one in the new year. So we'll hand out 3 more, 2 more. I don't know. What do you guys feel?
I don't know. Figure it out. We don't need to do that tonight.
Okay, we're doing Monday. That's what we've decided. There you go. So 2 more weeks. We'll be handing out on the 19th. We will be handing out the winner Leader in the clubhouse is Chad. Scott Keschel's in second, and Joseph is in a tie for second. A logjam behind them. There are 30 people with points so far in this high sticking round. 148 points. 6 of those belonging to Joel. 1 of those belonging to Nick.
Oh, God.
Whoa. That is not good.
It's been a bad run for me this year.
Apparently.
It's a good thing I'm replacing you in high sticking. Yeah. Let's see if I can do you proud.
Good luck.
You did me proud.
That's why we're like, you know what? We just need to save Nick. We just need to make him ineligible to play anymore.
Yeah. He's just a slump buster. We're going to give him some time off. We're going to bench him. We're going to give him the old Babcock treatment.
Yeah, there you go.
His ego got a little big, and we're just going to move him down a line.
Gotta watch a game from the press box and really get a good view of it.
We moved you down to the 4th line.
Yeah.
So
hey.
That's where you are. It's
there you go.
It's the name of the show.
We got that. Thanks, Carl.
You are welcome. The Alberta Podcast Network is proud to partner with the Back to School Again podcast, a podcast near and dear to my heart because I went back to school again. And what you can learn about in there is people who have gone back to school in their later years to take on a career change, and they dive into what that looks like, what that experience is like. Backtoschoolagain.ca is the place to go for that. You can find out more podcasts at albertapodcastnetwork.com. Nick, thank you for being on the show this week. This is the last week that we'll thank you for being on the show. Cause
oh man,
I don't thank Joel every week for coming here. I thank him the odd time. If he has an extra special episode, I'll say, Joel, thanks for being here. The great news is that no one listens to the end except for Nick.
I do. I stay right to the end.
He's the one who always tells us, I'm always there till the end, and now he'll never even download. So.
That's true. And Joel, thank you for being on the show today.
Oh, wow. I've never heard that before. It just feels so nice.
Joel, are you going to complete the circle?
Boom sit.
You can find us at thefourthlinepodcast.com, at fourthlinepodcast on Twitter. Lots of great stuff over on the website. Lots of great articles. Benjamin looked at what the Buffalo Sabres have been up to, getting their start a little bit better than it has been in the past. You can also find us on Facebook. And Nick, I just want to thank you again. Joel, goodbye.
Now Boom City?
Goodbye.